Do roll call so that we know who all is here. So when I say your name, just let Sylvia know you're here. Jeff?
Here.
Steve?
Aye, here.
Matt? Do we not have sound?
Hey, hold on. Here we go. Try that again, Matt.
All right, thank you, Matt. Brett? Brett's not here. Okay, Ron?
Yep.
Tom?
Mute.
Tom? Bueller? I can see Tom, I think,
Did
But-
say here, but
but I can see him, but I can't hear him. Yay! Adam
Here.
and Michelle.
Here.
All right, everybody here but Brett. Okay, announcements. Do we-
I don't have anything.
Where's council on our agendas that we've worked on? I still see these signs sitting out on these properties that we heard a month and a half. Have
They not heard some of these yet, especially along Roosevelt? You have to give me that same one that we've been talking about. Yeah, that one is
Should be taken care of.
down the street. There's two more. Okay, so I will check.
Yeah, I drive by those every day.
Yeah, me too. It's like, if I was the general public, I'd be totally ignoring them because they've been there so long.
Okay, approval of minutes. Somebody want to make a motion on the minutes?
Make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Matt, second by Jeff. All those in favor?
You call the roll?
Yep. Jeff?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Ron?
Yes.
Tom?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Okay, minutes have been approved. Do we have any report on council actions? We have not seen a city councilman for
Are they getting paid?
3 months.
He accepts my invite every time. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Okay. You'll have to poke him with a stick and tell him that we think we're being ignored. Okay, business item. We have one business item, a subdivision plat, final approval for Red Hawk Ridge subdivision number 6.
Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes?
Okay, great. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Christy Watkins, Principal Planner for the City of Nampa. The action requested from you tonight is a recommendation of approval or denial of the Red Hawk Ridge Subdivision Number 6 Final Plat. This project is comprised of 4.16 acres proposed to be platted into 15 buildable lots, 1 private road, and 4 common lots west of South Middleton Road and north of Greenhurst Road. This property is located inside the city limits and is zoned RS6 as of this month. The recorded ordinance has not been received by our GIS department, so you'll notice that the map has not been changed yet. It is bordered on the south and west by Red Hawk Ridge Phase 2, zoned RS6, on the north by Carriage Hill, which is zoned RS 8.5, and on the east by commercial property across Middleton Road, and of course is surrounded by the Red Hawk Golf Course. The original annexation was completed in 2005. Recently, the zoning was changed from RMH and RP to RS6 to accommodate this development. The ordinance number 4510 that changed the development agreement and the zoning to RS6 is effective this month, and the preliminary plat was approved in March. So the findings in this case are that it is located within the city limits in an RS6 zone. It conforms to the approved preliminary plat layout, and it conforms to the applicable subdivision and zoning standards for Nampa. Staff feels that it is appropriate for this commission to recommend approval of the final plat for Red Hawk Ridge subdivision number 6 to City Council with the conditions as listed in the staff report and any others you see fit to impose tonight. I will stand for any questions.
Christie, this is Steve.
Yes, Steve.
Is there any more coming up, or just the last one?
For Red Hawk,
Yeah, yeah, sorry.
Yes, sorry.
You couldn't read
this
my mind?
completes Red Hawk.
All right, I thought so. I just want to make sure.
Anybody else have any questions for Christie? Okay, what do you guys think?
Well, Madam Chair, Steve here. Red Hawk is a very nice subdivision. They've taken good care of it. It still looks good after these years. It's been a long time. They've been working on it from phase 1. Golf course has changed hands a couple of times, but everything's been going smooth, so I'd make the motion that we recommend approval of the final plat for Red Hawk subdivision number 6 for IDRHR Middleton LLC, owner and developer, and Jubb Engineering, and with all conditions of staff.
Was that Matt?
Yep.
Okay. All right, it's been moved and seconded to recommend the final plat approval. All those in favor? Jeff?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Okay, going on. Okay. And we got 3 minutes to 7 before we can start doing public hearing items.
I don't know if this works on Microsoft Teams, but on other, like Zoom and WebEx, if you hit the space bar, it'll mute and unmute you. So I don't know if that would just be easier for those that are remote, instead of trying to mouse it over to the mute button. Not sure if it'll work or not.
Somebody give it a try.
Looks like they're all muted already.
Yeah. Nobody heard me.
Yeah.
They put you on mute. There we go.
I tried it, Jeff. It doesn't work.
Oh, okay. Must be just the other platforms. I think I've used about 100 of different ones.
If you hold your cursor over the microphone and hit the space bar.
Oh, she muted herself before she was done.
Yeah, she cut herself off.
Yeah, it does work if you hold your cursor over the microphone.
And then hit the space bar?
So just
Yes.
set your cursor there then.
Yeah. Then you don't have to find it all the time.
Okay. And Rodney, we have a speaker list somewhere.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring that up right now.
Okay.
Hey, Rodney,
Yes.
this is Matt. Is this, how long are we gonna do the Teams thing? Are we ever going to go back to all meeting together in the council chambers, or do you know what the plan is?
That's a good question.
Or are we just gonna do this for a while?
So we don't have the ability, they're trying to expand our dais up here. They're trying to get funds to do an expansion of the dais so that more people can sit up there safely. So we will see if that happens, but until then, we don't have enough space up here to do everybody if they all show up.
But isn't this take the place of
Right,
that?
but we don't have any more of these dividers, and I guess they're on back order.
Oh.
Yeah, but if we, couldn't we add 1, 2, 3, 4 more people?
We could, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so 4 more people could come.
And then put the
One,
other
two,
two down on
three,
the floor.
Yeah, you could actually, if Sylvia sat down here, we could have 5 more people show up.
And somebody down there.
On the
Yeah,
finance.
and you could
So
do
we could have
something-
everybody here if we
You
did that.
could, yeah, if we wanted to do that, we could make it work. Yeah.
All right, I have 7 o'clock. So the first public hearing item is annexation and zoning to BC for construction of a church and future commercial development. Do we have an applicant here? Or online?
Whoops, mute button. Yes, we're here.
All right,
John here.
yes. Go ahead and give us your name and name and address for the record and tell us what
you want to do.
Yeah, great, thank you. John Renison at 410 East State Street in Eagle. We're here on behalf of the Pacific Companies. I think Caleb Roop is actually on the line here too. He's the president and CEO of the company. And so pretty straightforward. There's about 26 acres that's west of the Treasure Valley Marketplace. Everybody can see this slide that's up on the screen here, an aerial. Assuming so, there's a St. Alphonsus piece of land immediately to the west of Treasure Valley Marketplace, and then there's the 26 acres that Caleb owns. And this is a simple application, request to annex and rezone to business or community business. It's in conformance with the comp plan and everything, pretty straightforward. So the impetus here really is Caleb bought this piece of property to make way for an expansion of the Eagle Christian Church. They have a campus in Eagle, in between Eagle and Star. This would be a second or third campus for the Eagle Christian Church. The pastor, Dr. Steve Crane, is would operate the facility here, and so on this site plan, it would be on the kind of up in the corner, as shown there where the church is. And then as to the rest of the property, a little bit unknown at this point in time. And, but we certainly understand that, we know what the city cares about here, I think, as far as, job creation and job retention, for this area. So we'll certainly have that in mind as we continue to sort of develop what the master plan is for the site. But right now it's TBD. One of the big question marks here is the St. Alphonsus and what happens with that bigger piece of property. Of course, all the utilities are on the east side of the St. Alphonsus piece, so there needs to be a lot of coordination happen to, bring the sewer and the water, across the St. Al's piece to get over to this particular piece. Kayla's been in conversations with several folks there at St. Al's over the last 6+ months, trying to make some progress. Of course, COVID kind of stipend that a little bit, but hoping to rekindle conversations and keep going. So the short version here is that everything looks pretty straightforward as far as the application goes and the conditions, with the exception of maybe just one item, and that is that we'd like the ability to be able to put the church up here right away, pretty soon. And of course, the sewer and the water aren't there yet, and those are pretty big undertakings. And it's likely a participation by Urban Renewal, possibly St. Al's, us. It's a big project to get sewer and water over there. So what we'd like to do is to be able to bring the church online by via a septic system, possibly a well. It could be that we extend water down Cherry Lane to get to the site to take care of the water needs and fire flow. I think that's sort of TBD, and we would like the opportunity to sort of work through those issues with the city and as engineering department. I did talk to Caleb Leclerc, your assistant city engineer, today. He totally understands everything I just said and is on board with that. I think, Christy, you're in the loop there too. That would basically enable us to move forward with the church with, say, a septic system and some means of water. And then we would design the system, of course, to connect to sewer and water when it's available. And then, so we would want to just modify the conditions of approval slightly to accommodate that, if you're willing. And I think with that, Christie, your presentation would follow to get into, cover all the nuts and bolts here, but we're certainly here to, answer any other questions that come up.
Questions for the applicant at this time? Madam Chair.
I don't really have any questions, but I would like to address the applicant.
Okay.
This is Steve, one of the commissioners. In the past, there's been a lot of traffic issues at this particular area with the one access across the bridge on the interstate. Traffic really bogs down. So whatever you plan for the future, I think you might want to keep in mind the traffic because the neighbors are going to be out in force like they have been in the past if something is deemed to be making the traffic situation worse until it gets better. I don't think the church should be a problem because Sundays, there's nobody out working anyway, so there shouldn't be much difficulties. But for future reference, you might want to just keep traffic in mind in that area. Build something that, has good jobs and no traffic, if you can find something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, to add to that, I would, Caleb Leclerc also let us know this, we knew this early on, but just for your knowledge too, apparently there is a plan. It's not really a written plan, but it's a somewhat of a working plan that Cherry Lane, over the course of development of the property to the north of Cherry Lane, that Cherry Lane would somewhat be realigned and brought a little further away from Interstate 84 to provide a better connection to, I think that's Middleton Road. So right now the connection of Cherry Lane to Middleton Road is not that safe, according to the city engineer, and so there is future plans to have that addressed, and the city's well in front of those issues too. So just sort of FYI on future planning for the traffic in the area.
Thank you for the update.
Okay, Christie.
Okay. Let's see if my computer will catch up with me now. Nope. There we go. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Christy Watkins, planner for the City of Nampa. The request before you this evening is for annexation and zoning to BC, which stands for Community Business, for construction of a church and some future commercial development on 26.21 acres on Cherry Lane and Middleton Road adjacent to I-84. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. This property is currently outside the city limits in Canyon County and is zoned ag. It is bordered on the northeast and west sides by Canyon County ag zoned properties and on the south by the I-84 corridor that, when annexed, brings this property contiguous to the city limits and the IL zoned properties south of the freeway. This property is eligible for annexation since it is adjacent to the Nampa city limits, and the proposed zoning and development plan conforms to the guidelines set forth in the Nampa Comprehensive Plan. The Comprehensive Plan future land use designation is commercial. BC zoning is proposed. As this is the commercial zoning for the City of Nampa, it complies with the guidance from the Comprehensive Plan. In order for a property to be annexed, it must be contiguous with the city limits. These parcels are considered contiguous because of the IL zoned property to the south of I-84. Therefore, they have included the portion of I-84 adjacent to them in their annexation request. Upon approval of the BC zoning assignment, the attached uses will be permitted or allowed via conditional use permit. You can see there are quite a few of them that might be allowed there. The allowed signage information is attached in your staff report for your reference, so you can see the heights that would be available and what might be available in proximity to I-84. Water, sewer, and PI are available, but they are over 1,500 feet from this property's easterly boundary. You heard the applicant discuss that. The properties to the east and south are currently serviced by police and fire, so we can assume that those services are available here. Being that it will be commercially zoned, hopefully that does not put any undue stress on those services, but no comments were submitted by them, so I don't know what their level of service is to this area. Access to the property will be from Cherry Lane, which is classified as a minor arterial. Engineering has some right-of-way dedication and improvement requirements, and planning and zoning will have frontage landscaping requirements at the time of building permit. Any building projects within this zone are also subject to design review. From a land use standpoint, the location is shown on the existing comprehensive plan future land use map for general commercial, and the proposed BC zoning is compatible with that designation. If the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval of the requested annexation and zoning, the following findings are suggested. The parcel is contiguous to the city limits to the south via annexation of the adjacent I-84 corridor. The area can be reasonably assumed to be available for the orderly development of the city, with the city limits having grown into this area. The proposed zoning conforms with the city's comprehensive plan, existing and proposed future land use map. And the property owner requests annexation and zoning to BC for construction of a church facility and future commercial development. The church facility is an allowed use, and future uses will be weighed according to the permitted or conditionally permitted use schedule. Correspondence was received from the Nampa Parks Department, the Building Department, the Irrigation District, CenturyLink, and the Engineering Division. Some of these items would include things like the 10-foot sidewalk along Cherry Lane, irrigation easement licensing, possible relocation of CenturyLink facilities, and standard building and frontage improvements from the Building and Engineering departments. The conditions of approval are listed in your staff report and include the same items that were previously stated in the analysis and the correspondence. In reference to the septic and well request, we would look to item number 2. And the way that it is stated and says prior to connection to city services, I don't know that there's any reason to change the conditions of approval the way that they're worded, because this does not prohibit them from getting a building permit. It just says that they need to provide this evidence of abandonment of the well and septic on the property prior to connecting to city services. So I think we've covered it there. If the applicant wants it to be worded differently, we can have that discussion. So given the analysis noted, the annexation and zoning to BC is certainly an entertainable request, and staff supports recommendation of approval of this request to City Council with all conditions as listed in the staff report and any others you see fit to impose. I will stand for any questions.
Yeah, I got a quick question. Just the land, this is Jeff Christie, the land that is St. Alphonsus, is that already annexed into the city?
Madam Chair and Commissioner Kirkman. No, it's not. It only goes as far as the villages at Nampa, which are the apartments that are across from that Steel Falls subdivision. So on the south side of Cherry, anything west of those apartments is not inside the city yet.
Okay, I was just wondering why they connected to the industrial area south of on the other side of the freeway and not to that commercial area next to the hospital, but that makes sense.
Yeah, that would be right.
Okay.
Thank you, Christy. Okay, Rodney, do we have anybody signed up to
Looking right now.
speak?
Well, I have another question while he's
Sure.
looking for those, and probably Christy or whoever else is online can answer this. Is this I wouldn't say regular, but this happens often where we allow them to put in a well and a septic and then later on connect to city services, kind of putting the cart before the horse, it seems like, even though it certainly seems workable, but is this something that we have done before and on a regular basis?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Kirkman, I would say that it's not necessarily a regular basis. We look at these individually when we receive these requests. Where this is at the tail end of where that sewer would end up going, it doesn't necessarily impact others' ability to develop by putting a block in the way from them. One thing we often do as we consider those requests is we look at, okay, how do we collect their proportionate share of that line extension in the future? And as we move forward with this, if it's approved on the building permit request, those are discussions we would be having with the developer at that time.
That makes sense.
This property is right at the edge of our impact area. Isn't Caldwell like a stone's throw away from this property?
The other side of Middleton Road, yes.
Yeah, okay, so that makes sense.
Thank you.
So Madam Chair, there are no names signed up for this public hearing.
Is there anybody here that would like to speak on this public hearing? Okay. I would entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved in second to close public hearing. All those in favor? Jeff?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is closed. What do you guys think?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that
We recommend annexation and zoning to BC to the city council for construction of a church and future commercial development at 0 and 0 Cherry Lane for Renison Design, Brian LeQuinn, with all conditions of staff.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's by Matt, seconded by Jeff.
All those in favor? Jeff?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Matt?
aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Michelle? Okay, that will go on to city council. Okay, public hearing item number 2, conditional use permit for a dwelling, multiple family in BC. Do we have an applicant here? We do. Come up and give us your name and address for the record and tell us what you want to do.
All right. Blake Jumper with the Housing Company, 56 Boise. Here as applicant today for the Canyon Terrace Apartments at 4104 Garrity Boulevard and 1010 North 39th Street. Giving a little background on the project, the Housing Company, we're a nonprofit developer, mission-driven nonprofit. We build both develop affordable housing and manage our apartments throughout the state of Idaho. We've had a focus in getting a development underway in Nampa for the past couple years, and with the type of financing we use, it's somewhat difficult finding land that fits our budget and making this a possibility. But we got these 2 parcels under contract back in late 2019. Since then, I've been in constant contact with the planning and engineering departments at the city, as well as we had a site visit with both those departments and the mayor, I believe, back in January, just to discuss the different stipulations and our overall plan for this project. It's 81 units of affordable housing, all of those being affordable. 7 residential buildings, a clubhouse, a playground area, and some green space. In designing the project, this was a difficult one in regards to entitlement. Going through the title report, there were documents there dating back to 1905, so deciphering those was quite the job.
Wow.
But I'm appreciative of all the feedback we've received from planning and engineering regarding right-of-ways, future improvements along 39th Street and Comstock. It's really helped us design a plan that met the needs of the city. I've also had meetings with the Nampa Meridian Irrigation District regarding the Dewey lateral that runs on the south portion of the site, and how to design around that. So I know there may be some opposition to this in reading the staff report. Some thoughts about this being more of an industrial area, not lending itself to residential development. I view this in multiple ways. We've seen the development of this south portion of the 84 there at Garrity move over the last 15 years from more industrial to more commercial and retail oriented. And in my view, I think residential does fit this well. It's within 1.5 miles of things like pharmacies and banks and medical, grocery, retail, you name it. As our financing that we use from these, we've received an award of 4% tax credits from Idaho Housing and Finance Association. That's a stipulation that they have. These things have to be walkable. And in regards to site design, we were advised that there would be or could not be any access off of Garrity. Therefore, our two access points are off 39th Street and Comstock. We will be widening Comstock by about, I want to say, 6 or 7 feet. There's also future improvements proposed by the city along 39th. I believe, I may be mistaken, I believe that's going to be 4 to 5 lanes. And we will be building out infrastructure on Comstock, which will include sidewalk, curb, gutter, as well as a landscape buffer and detached sidewalk along 39th. At a later time, the city will come through with improvements on 39th with a signal and what have you. So I've done my best to maintain constant communication on a weekly basis with the city and try to meet all the requirements there and just be transparent with our goals for this project. But at the end of the day, it's been our experience and from the feedback we've received that Nampa's in need of affordable housing. This is something that's important. That's how we feel. So anyways, that's all I got.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay.
What was your name again?
Blake.
Blake?
Yeah.
Blake, you said affordable housing several times, and people come before us and say affordable housing, and people say we need more affordable housing. What's affordable to a millionaire is not going to be, affordable to somebody making $20,000 a year. So what constitutes affordable in this particular project?
So, without getting into the weeds, this is a truly rent-restricted project. So there are income limitations as well as rent limitations to these units, and they're based on area median income for these prospective residents. So off the top of my head, I'll give an example. A family of 4, their income limitation may be $38,000 to $40,000 a year. And we go through, we're also a property management firm, so we dig into their tax returns, criminal background checks, the list goes on and on, prior references of past residences. And so those stipulations are set, and if someone comes in making 80 grand a year, they won't meet those requirements. So it is governed based on the financing we use.
So if somebody was at a lower income level and they could get some subsidized housing, would they be allowed to come in here?
We do accept housing vouchers, and those are distributed in a particular way to certain residents. But yes, we do accept those.
Tony, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we may call you back up at the end for more
Okay.
questions. All right, Rodney.
Okay. Madam Chair, Rodney Ashby, Director of Planning and Zoning. And I'll start with just kind of reemphasizing the point. I was going to make that same point, Commissioner Kehoe, about this development is truly an affordable housing development. Unlike a lot of times we hear that, those statements, this is truly one that is supported by our Community Development Block Grant division of of the Economic Development Department, and I'll get into that in a little bit here. This is the location off of Garrity Boulevard. 39th Street is on the left here, and Comstock Avenue is to the north of the property. A lot of commercial development. I'll get into those details in just a minute. So this is in a BC zone, and because it's in a BC zone, it requires a conditional use permit. That was changed, I believe, a few years ago, to allow for multifamily in the BC zone. So the proposal is for 81 units, including 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units in 7 different buildings, a clubhouse, a play area, and open space. The comp plan designation is commercial. You can see that a little closer here. And as was alluded to, industrial is just to the west of this property and to the north. But it is squarely in the commercial designation on the comp plan. And then the zoning matches that exactly, the commercial zoning, or the BC community business zoning for the property. Okay, so surrounding land uses, there's a lot going on in this area, and as was mentioned as well, there's a hospital, there's retail, there's industrial, there's housing in several mobile home parks in the area. There's a subdivision just to the west. There's Winco, a short distance away. There's J.C. Penney's. There's quite a bit going on here. So to the north is professional construction services. Sorry, I'm getting ringing on my microphone. Custom metal work and steel fabrication. IL, light industrial zoning district. There's 3 single-family homes surrounded by industrial use. I think I can zoom in a little bit here. Yeah, there we go. To the south is the Drive Happy Auto Sales and Repair Auto Dealership in the BC Community Business Zoning District. There, across the street, across Garrity, there's the Pick Apart Jalopy Jungle, which is an auto salvage yard in an IH, or heavy industrial zoning district. To the east is the Wendy's Restaurant in a community business BC zone. And to the west is a vacant land IL, light industrial zoning district. The land use, there is a single family home on each of the 2 parcels, as you can see here, with some outbuildings. Utilities are available in the area. Other city services, I need to point these out every time now, because as development happens, we need to be aware of the impacts to other community services that we provide. And I just wanted to point out that as we approve housing, that increases the demand for police and fire services in the area. And so we're under our goal for the number of police officers per 1,000 residents. And this just adds to that, but that's an ongoing problem and concern that we're trying to address as a city. Access to the property will be off of 39th Street, North 39th Street, and East Comstock Avenue. They formerly had access off of Garrity, but that would no longer be allowed. So here's a site plan of the project, and after design review, they've already attended a design review meeting. Design review committee recommended that they have a pedestrian connection to Garrity Boulevard. So I'll show you that on this next slide. They've redesigned their landscape plan and just submitted the revised one today. So you can see the connection on the east side of the development, that pedestrian connection to Garrity Boulevard. There's also a pretty significant landscape buffer along North 39th Street. There is some buffering and quite a bit of landscaping, including trees and shrubbery along East Comstock. So here's some renderings of the apartments. This is building A, building B, building C. And then some floor plans as well, including the clubhouse down there on the bottom right. We did receive 2 comments, and those are both in your packet, but I just wanted to highlight and summarize them from people who spoke up against this project. These are both property owners that own industrial developments in the area, businesses in the area. The first one was Bradley and Deborah Wilson, who had 14 years in the area. They claimed that they moved from Garden City because of conflicts with residential land uses. I believe it was noise related. They provided examples in their comments about industrial land use, which was pre-existing, and then residential came in, causing a conflict with the industrial that was pre-existing. And they argue that this area should be commercial and industrial to prevent future conflict. And then they asked this question, what plans are in place for when complaints are lodged against the businesses that are in this location? And I guess I'd just respond to that we handle complaints on a case-by-case basis. We look at the details of the background, what was the zoning there, what was there first. We have to look at all those details when complaints happen, but that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be conflicts. And so that is a valid concern, but it is worth noting that industrial was there first, and that people know when they move into those locations that there's going to be industrial there. Timothy Tyler also mentioned the similar concerns. He listed his properties that he owns, and he was opposed to multifamily, claiming that residential does not fit with the land use plan for the area and requests it remain designated for commercial and light industrial uses. This is the comment I wanted to highlight. I mentioned earlier Matthew Jameson in our community development. He's our community development program manager in our economic development department. I just received this, and so it wasn't in your packet, but in summary, I'll leave that on the screen for a minute, but in summary, he basically states that in the 5-year plan for the city's 5-year consolidated plan for housing and CDBG funding, they identify the need, a high priority need, to put money towards low-income housing or affordable housing, which this project fits that exactly. And so he's basically writing to say that this is consistent with the 5-year plan that they have. Agency correspondence. There were some code violations, and we would recommend that the conditional use permit not be issued until those 2 cases are resolved.
Do we know what those are?
I didn't receive those. All they said that there were 2 cases, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I highlighted that too, because what are they? I mean,
Yeah.
Well, we'll just think the worst.
2 murder investigations for somebody infringing on their property rights.
Okay.
It's likely weeds, that's probably
On a
one of
vacant
them,
lot,
maybe
yeah.
debris on the property.
Okay.
Okay.
But we can confirm that and just make sure that those are taken care of before we issue the permit, if that's the direction we want to take. CenturyLink said that there could be a conflict with an active facility there. Customers shall determine conflict exists. They'll be responsible for that. And if so, they shall provide Tommy Sasson a complete set of construction drawings. Customer responsible for 100% of costs. The irrigation district, Nampa Meridian Irrigation District, requires a filed land use change application to review prior to final platting. And I mentioned the condition of the design standards, building and site designs standards committee when they went for design review, which was connection to Garrity Boulevard. Engineering, all these conditions are in your staff report. Of course, the dedication of right-of-way. 39th Street will require 50 feet, Comstock 28 feet, and then a 25-foot chamfer at the intersection for a future, I believe it's a signal. Daniel may want to clarify that, but I believe it was signal. At one point it was a roundabout, but I believe that's signal now. Applicant shall coordinate access with engineering at time of development, and they will need to extend the public utilities through the site, to and through the site. And then, of course, permits are required. So I wanted to highlight a couple of things from our comprehensive plan. Our comprehensive plan was just adopted again, updated and adopted this year. 5.15 says, it discusses smart growth or a compact city, and it gives the definition here, and it's basically connectivity, walkable, bikeable, walkable connectivity to services and retail and jobs in the area. And so they recommend that those things be combined, that mixed use development happen with residential and all those other uses fairly near. This proposal fits that really well. However, 5.9 also encourages that industrial projects be located away from residential uses, but that it primarily focuses on locating industrial rather than locating residential. So if there's an industrial area and someone wants to develop residential, it doesn't speak to that. So I've highlighted the code section here, 5.91, sorry, not the code, the comprehensive plan. Just says heavy industrial businesses should be located away from residential development and designed where they will have the minimum impact to surrounding land uses. So the context there is that the concerns that were expressed by the public, the property owners in that area, are valid. There is a concern about mixing industrial and residential, but our comp plan just doesn't speak to it coming in after the industrial is established. So I highlight this every time we have a conditional use permit, but these are the criteria you need to use to determine whether you'll adopt or not permit the conditional use permit. It needs to be compatible with the area and not adversely affect the livability of the area. It needs to provide a convenient and functional living, working, shopping, or civic environment, and be as attractive as the nature of the use and its location and setting warrants. And then basically it needs to enhance the successful operation of the area and or provide a basic community function or essential service. So the question is also in a conditional use permit, if it doesn't fit that exactly, the purpose behind a conditional use permit is that you can put conditions in place so that it does fit that. So are there any conditions that you can place on this development or any development that is requesting a conditional use permit that allows it to fit within these criteria? And if so, you can place those criteria on them. So here are the recommended findings if you decide to approve this development, and I've put those in your staff report. I'll not go over them. And then the suggested conditions of approval as outlined in your staff report as well. And then I have placed a potential motion for you on the screen and would stand for questions.
I got a couple. I was just looking at the zoning map, and there's only one area of heavy industrial, and that's the Jalopy Jungle, correct? Mm-hmm. Everything else around it, if it's industrial, is light.
That's correct.
And this area in question is in a commercial zone anyways. It's not even in the industrial zone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify, because it seems like whatever opposition there is that they wanted to keep it industrial, but this is not even zoned industrial.
Yeah, I believe that, Madam Chair, and Commissioner Kirkman, I believe the comment that was on the, in the packet addressed, let me see if I can find that again. I think they said, keep it industrial, or commercial and light industrial.
Okay.
But that is a good point. I mean, is a commercial use, as a commercial use, that is an allowed use with a conditional use permit. Right? Residential is an allowed use for multifamily in a
Yep.
BC zone.
Okay. And can I ask the applicant a quick question? I just want to make sure that the applicant is aware of the violations on the property and
Blake, you want to come on up?
those things.
We haven't
So
done that.
typically you'll want to have the public comment and then he can
Okay,
respond to
sorry.
all.
Blake, we'll
We're out of sync.
pocket
Not being-
that question, because it may come up later.
Do we have anybody signed up on this
We
one?
do,
We do.
Sorry, Rodney, I apologize for jumping in front of you.
no problem. Okay. Alright, so there are on screen is the,
I
of course, the
can't-
applicant is there.
I
Blake
can't read it.
Jumper, and then Sarah Byers also signed up in favor,
Okay.
but didn't say that she wanted to speak. Tom Haygood also signed up in favor, but didn't want to speak. And Derek Cooper signed up in favor and did not want to speak.
Okay.
Do you want me, maybe I should read their, well, I guess we've got this for future reference.
For public.
We do have one person who signed up to speak, and his name is Timothy Tyler.
Isn't he?
Rodney, I have a question for you.
Is this Chrissy?
Yeah, sorry. Derek Cooper is the applicant for the third public hearing. Did he sign up for number 2 or number 3?
Oh, good question.
Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. I think he did sign up for number 3.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
2 demerits.
So nobody signed up to speak, but we have their stuff for the,
We do have one person signed up to speak against the proposal.
okay, and who's that?
Timothy Tyler.
And is Timothy Tyler here? Or online?
Is it the same Timothy Tyler who has a letter in here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wondering.
Does he want the letter and speak both? Or the letter speak for him?
I think this is the one I sent you the email about, that I just said that it was unclear whether he
You wanted to speak or not?
Oh,
Okay. Is there anybody present that would like to speak for, against, or undecided on this proposal? Okay. And Timothy is not in the,
okay.
okay.
I don't see his name.
Okay, Blake, if you want to come back up, we'll let Jeff play 20 questions.
No.
Just one question.
15. Yeah, I just want to make sure, Blake, that you are, does he need to restate his name and address?
I think you do. Blake Jumper, the housing company, 565 West Myrtle Street, Boise. So in response to that, I was looking through the staff report today and I was trying to dig through it, sitting back there to find this. I believe there was something in the staff report that spoke to what those violations were. And maybe,
It's on page 108.
yeah, so at least what I'm seeing in an email, looks like dumping, unlawful, solid waste accumulation and maintenance. And then it goes on to say something that an irrigation crew had dumped some stuff, and then there were piles of weeds, trash, and debris that needed to be cleaned up prior to CUP approval. So I was made aware of that this morning.
Okay. This morning, good.
That's all I know.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Does anybody else have any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you.
I do.
Oh, somebody, yes.
This is Matt. I just have a question about how the site was chosen for this project. Was it the portability of the land? What was it that made that site good for this project?
So I mentioned earlier that we received an award of 4% tax credits, and as part of that financing, it's important that you find pieces of property in what they called qualified census tracts. There's a small portion covering this stretch of Garrity on both sides of the road that fell within that zone. It's a pretty small area, so it narrows down our search when we're looking for property. So that's what keyed us into this site when it was on the market. And we had to get to a density level of about 80 units to make the project work from a financial side of things, but the qualified census tract designation is what drove it.
Okay, I figured as much, I just wanted to double check. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Anybody else have any questions? Did you have a question for the applicant, or did you just want to testify?
I'm the owner.
You're the owner.
I'd like to explain something.
Come up and give us your name and address for the record, and
Tom Haygood. My address is 3649 South Oxbow Drive, Nampa. I've had all kinds of problems with vagrants. They graffiti everything. They dump. People come in and dump all the time. They dump. I can't keep, in the whole scope of things, is all going to be demolished and taken away anyhow. But you can't keep control of your property. They come and take the doors off, steal them, take them away. It's a never-ending process. So.
You'll be glad you sold it, huh?
What's that?
So you'll be glad you sold it? The property?
Well, no, I've become attached to it, really, but not in that way. So anyhow, we cleaned it up. Actually, yesterday we mowed everything, and it looks presentable in front on Garrity and on the other street. In the middle it's got old lumber and some stuff, but that's all going to go away anyhow. So I don't think that's a big concern, really.
well, it's a condition of the approval for the conditional use permit. It has to be cleaned up before he can start anything.
Well, what did they talk about cleaning up?
The debris, the
Yeah,
weeds.
well,
It'll be taken care of, though.
what's that?
It'll be taken care of.
Are you saying he'll take care of it or somebody else?
I'm just saying, however it happens, the debris and everything on there
It'll all be
will be
when
taken care of.
They're gonna
yes.
bulldoze all the houses, so it'll all be taken care of
Yep.
at that time. But it looks presentable on Garrity right now. I painted off the graffiti, and it looks presentable on, actually, they've been harassing me, And then they came and cleaned out the ditches and dumped that all on me, and they say, tough, you don't care. They called the city hall, you don't help me, nobody helps me. Police won't help you, nobody will help you, so that's the way it is. Anyhow, it'll all be cleaned up anyhow, one way or the other,
Okay,
so,
thank you.
thank you very much.
Madam Chair, I just want to quickly describe why we have conditions like this in the staff report for a conditional use permit. What our code enforcement officers are finding is that it's difficult sometimes to get compliance with a property. They cite them over and over, and can't get it done. So anytime, and I'm not saying that that's what's happening here, I'm saying that anytime there is an entitlement associated with a property, they would like to get that attached to the approval of that entitlement, because there is a motivation behind the
To get it
property
done.
owner to get it done because they are requesting something. So let's say if this gets approved and it wasn't done with that entitlement, those conditions weren't included, maybe 6 months goes by and the market changes, whatever happens, it doesn't get done, that this project doesn't move forward and doesn't clear off the property and start construction. That's why they want this
Sure.
included in their approval. And before the conditional use permit is issued, so that it gets taken care of right away.
Sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thank you, Rodney.
Mhm.
I would entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Steve, second by Jeff. All those in favor? Jeff?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is now closed.
Madam Chairwoman, I'd like to make just a brief statement.
Okay.
We get applications all the time for low-income housing, and all the neighbors say, no, we don't want them. They're riffraff, they're this, they're that. Everybody's objecting to everything about the low-income housing. I don't see a better place to put low-income housing than this property right here. It's industrial around it, it's already there. Anybody moving into those apartments is gonna see what they're getting. There shouldn't be any complaints. Those two neighbors, I think they're gonna be pleasantly surprised. They think in the wrong way, but, you know, time will tell. But to me, this is an ideal property for this kind of an application, so I'm definitely gonna vote in favor of it.
And I want to echo Commissioner Kehoe's sentiments, because I was thinking the same thing. This is it's on a major corridor in and out of the city. It's close to shopping. A bus line is there. It really is. I don't know if I could find a more ideal place. And you certainly, I think it's going to pay off for you spending that much time looking for a piece of property like this. It's going to clean it up around there. I think it's going to raise the
Raise the
profile
property
around there.
value.
And now I finally figured out why they put a stoplight there at 39th and Garrity. So maybe that's why. I never really understood why they put a stoplight there, but now I know. No, I'm totally for this. The city needs more affordable housing, and I think this is just a really slam dunk project. I'm excited for it to go in.
So you're gonna make a motion?
Sure.
Very good job there, Madam Chair.
You didn't want to hear any more from me, did you? So, Madam Chair, I will make a motion that we recommend, we approve the conditional use permit for dwelling multiple family in BC, or Community Business Zoning District at 4104 Garrity Boulevard and 1010 North 39th Street for development of 81 units in the Canyon Terrace Apartments for the housing company, Thomas A. Haygood Living Trust, with all conditions of staff and including those suggested conditions of staff. I want to make sure we put those in there too.
And I couldn't but not agree and second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor? Jeff?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Ron?
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Okay. So, being the industrial guy, and the comments from the neighbors are valid. I mean, I don't want to discount what they're saying. Industrial and residential are really hard uses to put together, especially multifamily. However, you know, I drive Garrity Boulevard every day, and I've been saying for years that this section of Garrity really needs to be redeveloped. And with the consideration that the applicant's taken on North 39th and Comstock to buffer their project, I agree. This is one case where I think industrial
and multifamily can actually live in harmony. So great plan, and kudos to the applicant for figuring out a way with a tough site to consider the uses around them. So, and provide an essential service in the not low income but affordable housing problem that we have. So, aye.
All the way around.
Tom?
I'll make mine short. Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Michelle? Michelle?
Must have lost her.
Michelle?
Oh, me?
Yes.
I have a really short comment as well. I think for this location, even though most of you are approving this, I think this is not the right area for low income or affordable housing. I think we really need it in Napa, but I don't think this is the area for that. So I'm gonna vote nay.
Thank you. All right, well, ayes have it, so that is approved. Thank you. Okay,
Hurry and build it.
the final item on our public hearing, conditional use permit for a bar in the downtown historic zoning district in the basement of 1215 First Street South. We have the applicant. Come on up and give us your name and address and tell us what you want to do.
Name's Derek Cooper.
Speak into the microphone or else we're not going to get you.
Is that a little better? Derek Cooper. My address is 7129 West Goodale Trail in Eagle. And I am looking to put they put bar on here, but more of a high-end cocktail lounge and
Okay.
basement space in one of my buildings down in Nampa.
Okay, what building is it in?
We have the Mesa Tacos, we have Labyrinth, we have 2C Brewery. We just recently added Paddles Up Pokey, and we have about 1,500 square feet of vacant space down below that we're just trying to find a use for.
Okay,
And it kind of lends itself to having a cool little speakeasy down there.
okay.
So,
All right, well, we'll hear from staff and we might have
Well,
questions
do
for
we
you.
have any questions?
If you want to ask a question right now,
I do,
go ahead.
I do. It mentions in here that you've had several of the projects, and you just named all the ones. Is that what you were saying, Mesa Taco, and
that was in one building that we did, yeah.
so you have other buildings as well that
We
you've
also
done?
did the Boise Fry Company and Stella's Ice Cream as well, too.
Okay. And you're just a developer, or you own them?
I own them.
You own them, okay. And since you have a drinking establishment upstairs, is it going to be different than the one downstairs? Didn't you say there was a bar upstairs already?
It's a brewery.
A brewery? Well, you can buy beer in there, right?
Correct.
So it's basically a brewery and a bar.
No, they don't serve hard alcohol.
Okay, and you will at this place?
Correct.
Okay. And the hours are going to be nighttime hours, basically, or
Time hours, yeah.
not during the day, or? Okay. And is there a law what time you close a bar in Nampa? Is it 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2
10
o'clock?
o'clock? Holy cow. I don't drink, but 10 o'clock seems a little early, too.
Well, I'm just wondering if there was, like some places at 2 o'clock, you have to have all these bars
I think it's
closed.
two.
Yeah,
State is at
that's
2
the law. Yeah.
Is that the law? Okay. I wasn't sure. I just wanted to find out. Thank you.
Anything else?
Not right now.
Okay.
I love it. I love your questions.
Miss Christie, are you there?
I am. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Christy Watkins, planner for the City of Nampa. The action requested from you tonight is the approval of the conditional use permit request for a lounge in the basement of the building addressed as 1215 First Street South. So in this picture, you'll see a door that says family on it. That's 2C Family Brewing, and it would be in the basement of that building. This is intended to be located in a tenant space of the building located on a 0.0184 acre parcel in the Nampa Original Town Site, or what we call downtown. No off-street parking is required by code, and angled on-street parking is immediately adjacent to the building on First Street South. The comprehensive plan shows it as downtown on the future land use designation, which includes the following strategies. Encourage development of small business and entrepreneur networks, and work with the downtown businesses to support downtown revitalization efforts in conjunction with the Nampa Main Street program. The zoning is DH, or Downtown Historic. It will be in the basement of the unit that is currently 2C Family Brewing and is surrounded by the other restaurants that he just mentioned, including Pre-Funk across the street, Messenger Pizza across the street, Paddles Up Pokey next door, Mesa Tacos next door, and the First Street Market. So Nampa City Code 1025 sets forth the criteria for approval of a conditional use permit and is outlined in your staff report and here on the screen. Staff analysis of the application shows that the applicant is requesting allowance to construct a bar in the basement of 1215 First Street South that was previously used for storage. Correspondence received from the Main Street Association and downtown businesses show support for this project and are attached in your staff report. This correspondence indicates that Mr. Cooper's vision for downtown Nampa is in line with their goals and therefore meets the strategies identified in the comprehensive plan. And the applicant has provided inspiration pages for your reference to show the mood of the space that's being proposed. So here we see the layout, the floor plan on the right, and design images on the left. And here's just some other inspirational photos that show kind of the mood and the setting that he wants to promote here. The storefront images that he's showing here reflect the feeling that is already taking place in downtown Nampa. And here's an idea of the cocktails and the food that might be served there. And he's provided a list of potential names for the proposed lounge. So as mentioned, the correspondence was received from the Downtown Main Street Association Advisory Board and the Nampa Business Improvement District Number 2, both very supportive of the project. So should the commission choose to approve the application as presented, these findings are recommended: that the location, size, and design of the project will be compatible with and not adversely affect the development of the surrounding neighborhood, that the location, design, and size of the project will be as attractive as the nature of use and its location warrants, that the project will enhance the successful operation of the surrounding area in its basic community function and provide an essential service to the community. So staff recommends approval of the request with the conditions as stated in the staff report. Number 1 being that the conditional use permit is granted to the applicant until such time as it no longer operates as a lounge and shall not be transferable to a new tenant, business owner, or other party, which means that it could still be operated as a bar, but anyone that wants to purchase it in that state would have to come in and renew a conditional use permit in their name. They would need to comply with, of course, any building permit requirements by the building department and any engineering hookup fees that would be required. And number 3, any other conditions that you see fit to impose. I will stand for any questions.
Yeah, clarification, Chrissy, this is Jeff. The CUP, I know this has been discussed before, but the CUP process for bars, that has not yet gone to city council taking that, and it's still up to the planning and zoning, correct?
Yep. That is correct.
And this might be a question for the applicant, but I'll ask Chrissy since she did the presentation, but would the entrance to this be through 2C Family Brewing, through that red door that says? Well, I don't know if I can ask him yet, that's why.
Commissioner Kirkman, that would be a question for the applicant. I'm not sure.
We get to that point.
Hold that question for later. I mean, do we have anybody signed up to speak?
It looks like it's going to be a quick later because we don't.
All right, Derek, do you want to come back up and answer some questions?
Pretty please.
See, this is the problem of just doing Zoom. I just feel the need to speak to people, so. So,
And I just want to react.
there you go. Question.
Answer 'em. So actually, it's not going to be underneath 2C Brewing. We put up a Paddles Up Pokey. It's actually going to be underneath Paddles Up Pokey space. But
Okay.
it does have its own separate entrance
Okay.
off the street.
Okay, very good, thanks.
You still looking for a name?
Open for suggestions.
How about the bar down under?
Good.
Down under.
I gotta tell you, this is the best salesman I've ever seen.
I throw all that food and I say, that looks good to me.
Find pictures like that.
And then I'm getting older, and it's like I want to go be able to sit somewhere and actually be able to hear the person that I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the drink.
that's very true because
So,
upstairs you
I'm
cannot.
trying to create an atmosphere that is missing around here as well too. So
Well, I appreciate you getting input from the other owners, store owners and operators down there and.
He owns half of them, that's
Well,
why.
no, but I think it's, I mean, they're welcoming something like this. I think
Yeah.
it's really a good fit, but.
Does anybody else have any questions?
That's all I had. Thank you, Jared.
Question.
Okay.
We're not hearing you.
Non-smoking environment, absolutely.
The non-smoking bar. He said yes, non-smoking.
No smoking.
Great.
With food in the building, no smoking.
Anybody else have any questions for the applicant?
Okay. Thank you. I would entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Is that Adam?
That was me, yes.
Okay. I'm getting good at recognizing voices now. Okay, all those in favor, Jeff,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Ron,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Michelle, goodness, I'm losing my mind.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is closed. I think this is kind of exciting that Nampa's starting to have some competition for Boise.
I do.
Nice places to go.
I think it's.
And Madam
I think
Chair,
it's great.
I was going to say that coming into this, I was thinking, we have enough bars downtown, and there's already one upstairs, and there's plenty across the street, but this has got a different feel to
It's a
it.
niche.
Yeah, it's neat.
You know, and I like the statement that he made about being able to talk, because that's my biggest objection to bars in Nampa, is you can't talk. You know, you have to write notes and pass them back and forth. So I'd love to have a place to go that I could sit down and talk to somebody without shouting and everybody around me saying, oh, really?
Yeah. Hopefully, the situation that we're in with the whole COVID thing passes over by the time you get ready to open your doors.
So do we have somebody who wants to make a motion?
How about somebody at home? We've been doing our job here tonight.
Madam Chair, I think it's a great idea as well. Make a motion, we grant the conditional use permit for bar in the DH zoning district at 1215 First Street South in the basement with all conditions of staff.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Ron, second by Michelle. Okay, all those in favor, Jeff,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Ron,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Okay, and that does it for our meeting tonight. That was our last item. Thank you.
Aye.
I'm excited.